When whippoorwills call.
You're listening to Where You Live with Gene Sullivan.
Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene Sullivan. I'm broadcasting from the Natural Green Lawn and Landscape Studios and brought to you by American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency, and Extreme Exteriors. You can count on Extreme Exteriors for expert installation of exterior siding, roofing soffits, fascia, decks, windows, and more. With their knowledge and experience, they can design the perfect solution to make your home beautiful and energy efficient, saving you maintenance and money for years to come. Call them at 763-441-1334 and tell them Gene sent you. It's time now to hear from the Community Associations Institute. The CAI Minute is brought to you by New Concepts Rental Management. Whether you're an accidental landlord or a seasoned investor, New Concepts Rental Management can help you achieve your financial goals. New Concepts Rental Management can advise and guide you through every aspect of the business. Give us a call, 952-922-2500.
Are you a volunteer in your homeowner association? Maybe a residential property manager wanting to increase your industry knowledge and obtain professional credentials in property management. Are you a vendor or professional offering services to homeowners and associations or property managers? If you said yes to any one of those questions, then join the Community Association Institute. The CAI is a great organization, helping you be informed and more proficient in your homeowner association board member or property manager role. It's also a great way to network with potential clients. For nearly 40 years, CAI has provided education and resources to volunteer homeowners who govern community associations and the professionals who support them. Visit cai-mn.com to learn more. That's cai-mn.com. The Minnesota chapter of CAI holds monthly managers' luncheons, board member education training, property manager certification training, and much more. It also produces a bi-monthly informative magazine called Minnesota Community Living. Why not join the Community Association Institute today? You can do so online at cai-mn.com and select membership.
Well, let's wrap it up here with our first story. I was talking about a gentleman, an attorney, who is blogging, and he's entitled to his opinion. But one that I said I thought was a little bit naive. He was talking about the disastrous things that happened with Trayvon Martin and his death. And no matter what anybody thinks about all of this, he was saying with his blog about this story, he said, maybe if you're on the board of a homeowners association, he asked the question, do you know what your volunteers are doing? Maybe you just need to make sure they're not doing anything that is not approved by the board. And that was his answer for it. And I said, how naive is that? And as I mentioned right before the break, why don't we just tell the folks at Fargo, you know what? I know how you can stop the floods from happening. Just do it. People in Colorado, the fires that are getting out of hand, fire departments, why don't you just prevent them from ever happening? And to me, it's a naive mindset. It's one that I will understand from my children. When my kids were 4 and 5, and we were trying to teach them the lesson that, we don't have money for everything. They would say, Dad, why don't we just do this? And I would say, well, we don't have the money for it. Well, their answer, they said they were thinking, and they finally came up and they said, I've got the answer. Just go to an ATM and get the money. Dad, it's that simple. Just get the money. And I expect that mindset from a 4 or 5-year-old. I don't expect that from an 18 or 20-year-old, a 28 or a 30-year-old, a 38 or 40-year-old. You get the picture. Sometimes just to say for someone in an association, why don't you board, just do it, is kind of naive, because sometimes there aren't answers. And sometimes, the answers that are there aren't the very best ones, and you have to pick the lesser of all evils. And what is that? And so sometimes what I'm saying is you need to have a little bit more understanding. But with those who are thinking, boy, maybe there is liability that we have as a board or an association, I just want to remind you there was a great federal act that came out in 1997. It's called the Volunteer Protection Act. And it was put out to help clarify and let people know for those that are in nonprofit organizations, you use a lot of volunteers. And the question is, should the organization or entity be responsible for its volunteers? And of course, the Volunteer Protection Act of 1997 came out, and it outlined and said that the act helps eliminate the liability that an individual may have to an organization if that individual is acting under the scope of themselves and not under the direction of the organization. So if it's not under the direct direction of the organization itself, and it wasn't, then the association should not be responsible for a volunteer. And ultimately what they're saying is you can't. You can't necessarily monitor and make sure 100% of the time that you're going to prevent volunteers from acting inappropriately. They will do so, and the act was there to help protect an organization. That's not to say that you shouldn't take care, but it's just saying we've got a understanding of common sense and reason that says we can't necessarily make sure that nothing ever happens. The idea of zero tolerance, that nothing bad will ever happen. As nice as that sounds, unfortunately, just doesn't occur in real life.